live from the Diddy courthouse. It's now dubbed the Diddy courthouse. Really, it is 500 Pearl Street, the federal building where Sean Diddy Combs is facing prosecution. This is day 32. If everything goes according to schedule, this will be technically the last day of actual court before the jury gets to start their deliberation. If everything goes as scheduled, the jury will get their final jury instructions today, and the fate of Diddy's life will rest in the hands of 12 jurors and 5 alternates, all right? Let me start off by saying my hellos to the people tuning in. Tez is always here, every single live. If I go 7 o'clock in the morning, 12, 3, 5, it doesn't matter. Tez is always here. What up, Tez? Good morning. I think it's Phyllis David. Good morning. Good morning, Christina. Good morning, Corny, Corrie. I don't know how to pronounce that name, me and my dyslexia. Darnell Bell, what up? Good morning, Tangela Morgan. Good morning, AI. Good morning, Dare Something About Mary. Good morning, B. Good morning, E-City. Good morning, CL. What up, what up, what up? Sorry, I said CL, KL. KL said, good morning, looking mighty dapper. Well, thank you very much. One of the last days in court if things go on schedule, so I wanted to, bring out the suits, bring out the button-ups, you know what I mean? I had to look good representing for y'all. I'm representing for the Out Louders. Oh yeah, by the way, it's Friday! What up, what up, what up, my Out Louders, what up, what up? First of all, sorry for not being able to give you guys our typical recorded podcast to my, like I said, my original Out Louders. This trial has really just has me up at 3:30 in the morning, and I'm literally going to bed by like 11, 12 o'clock. I do not have time to do the regular podcast, okay? But, yeah, I'm giving you at least 3 lives a day minimum too, so hopefully you'll forgive me back. Next week we'll be back on schedule. Yes, somebody said, wait, today is the last day. Yes, if everything goes according to schedule, today will be the last day. The jury will get the case and they will start deliberation. So, I mean, like I said, technically it's the last day of testimony, closing arguments and everything, but it's not the last day for everything because the jury will still deliberate, will still count down, and will still say day 33, day 34 until the jury gives us a verdict, okay? In today's show, I'm going to break down 5 things for you, okay? This is what we're gonna get through today. I started a little bit earlier so that I could get everything in. Y'all know the doors open around 7:45, so I gotta make sure I'm the first one in there, okay? So, just in general today, I'm gonna give you a window into Diddy's defense team and their closing arguments, what they're gonna say. I told you guys yesterday, the 2 most important days in court, any court proceedings, are the day they pick the jury. Most cases are won and lost with jury picks. And the second most important day is closing arguments. Yesterday was closing arguments for the prosecution. Today is closing arguments for the defense. And the fact that Diddy did not testify himself, or the fact that Diddy did not bring up any witnesses, which he may or may not regret depending on the outcome, this will be Diddy's turn to be able to give his defense through his lawyers. Why this is very smart is the fact that Diddy didn't go up on the stand. He doesn't put himself up for cross-examination. If he went up on the stand and he would have to face cross, it would have been over for him. They would have crossed him up like AI did Jordan, all right? Yeah, this is Diddy's turn to talk vicariously through his lawyers. Huge, huge day. I'm going to try to give you a window. Good morning, good morning. Everybody's still saying good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Robert. What's up, everybody? I'll get to the comment section at the end, okay? I'm gonna give you guys a window into what I think the defense team is going to say today, all right? So first of all, we're gonna circle back to yesterday. We're gonna talk about the RICO charge. Why that's important is that if he gets convicted of RICO, he could face life in prison, all right? So I just wanna circle back. We talked in detail yesterday. There's some things I wanna circle back and highlight. And again, I'm gonna give you through the defense perspective of what I'm expecting them to say about the 8 predicate acts that Diddy has allegedly broken, why the feds want to put him in jail for the rest of his life, okay? I am also, and also too, just that RICO charge scares me, and I'm gonna let you know why, okay? Then we're gonna take a look at the charges and see what charges do they have direct evidence versus testimony, okay? I'm gonna give you guys a preview of the defense and how they're gonna break down. And when you have direct evidence, that's, let's say, like a wiretap, or you have me on video, like Luigi Mangione, they have them on video. That's direct evidence. How do you say you didn't do that when I have you on video? They don't have much direct evidence on Diddy. Most of his case is, or most of the prosecution's case is testimony and text message. That leaves a small window for Diddy's defense team to convince the jury not to believe the testimony. So we're gonna go over some of the charges, and we're gonna see what is testimony, what's direct evidence. The only reason, I wanna highlight this, the only reason why we even have a case today is the fact that the prosecution does not have a lot of direct evidence. If they had direct evidence, Diddy would more than likely have to just plead guilty. Like I said, if you have a wiretap, if you have video surveillance, if you have direct evidence, it's hard to not plead guilty. But the fact that a lot of it is circumstantial evidence and a lot of it is text messages and testimony, Diddy has an opportunity to plead not guilty, and that's why we have a case. The only reason why we have a case. The third thing I'm going to tell you about the prosecution's wild card. They have a wild card that they have yet to play. They did not play it yesterday. If they play it, Diddy could go away for life. I'll tell you what that wild card is. Number 4, I got a nice bonus for you. Something that doesn't have to do with Diddy. There's a rumor that is going about another celebrity. A lot of you guys have asked me, hey, how come in this trial we haven't heard about the other celebrities that are in these freak-off tapes? How come we haven't heard about, other people other than Diddy? I have a rumor and inside information about a source, somebody that told me something about an A-list celebrity. We'll do that. And then number 5, I'm gonna literally just sum up the closing arguments and why I think Diddy has a small chance today to beat all the charges, okay? So that is what today's show is going to be like. We're trying to get it done in 40 minutes, all right? Y'all know I like to talk. Okay, so first, we're going to run down RICO and what Diddy's defense team is going to say today, all right? People are still saying hi, hello, hello, what up, what up, what up, what up? Joyce, Vertical Child, what up? Okay, so let's just be technical. In a technical world, from a technical standpoint, the feds made a great closing arguments yesterday from a technical, and I make a joke, like if they would have put their entire closing arguments into an AI file, AI would come out and say, you are guilty, because they are technically correct. One of the things that they started out with that bothered me was them saying that for RICO, there are 35 predicate acts, or 10, depending on what you look at it, and they're charging Diddy with breaking 8 of the predicate acts, one being DRUG distribution. And if you found that he broke that 2 times, it doesn't have to be 2 separate predicate acts, it has to just be, if you found that he distributed DRUGs 2 times, that's enough for RICO alone. And they also said it doesn't matter the quantity, it doesn't matter, it could be keys of the white stuff, or it could be one little vial. And distribution, we all think as, citizens, distribution is, a DRUG distribution ring where you're distributing it all over New York City. They said yesterday, distribution is, let's say this is a vial of the white stuff. If I have this and I give it to you, that is distribution. So again, not keys and not distributing it all over New York. Grounds for RICO, what they are saying is if you take a vial and you're part of a criminal organization, so basically an organized crime. So if I have a company and I take this vial and I hand it to somebody in my office, what the feds are trying to say is that this technically grounds for RICO if you do it 2 times. I feel like that is a stretch, and I feel like that is hard to get across to a jury from the Southern District of New York. These jurors are gonna think, yo, I know somebody that does DRUG, and it is, just to make sure, DRUGs are illegal. I'm not saying that. And if you get charged and you have a narcotics charge, that's different. I'm trying to talk about RICO. A DRUG charge is totally different. I'm saying putting that in RICO and starting off the testimony with that, I thought that was very hard to swallow. And I just feel like it opens up the conversation to pretty much any enterprise that's in the entertainment industry. I wrote down here, if that is the case for racketeering, 2 counts of distributing small vials of the white stuff, then you should go after hundreds of other racketeers. Rock bands in the 80s and 90s, hip hop labels, anybody who's in the music industry that has a label that is a company. I'm telling you right now, after being in the music industry for over 20 years, okay, I modeled, I act, I've been in the entertainment industry over 10 or 15 years. You would be hard pressed to find anybody in the music industry, anybody that owns a record label or works for a production company that doesn't have some sort of DRUGs in the building. And again, I'm fully aware that it is illegal, but this is not a narcotics charge. This is a RICO charge. I'm telling you right now, every label could literally be charged with RICO if those are the grounds. There's also the K word, the arson, the bribery. I'm gonna get to it, but they spent around an hour on DRUG, and they said after they talked about the DRUG distribution, they said, by the way, juries, just the fact of the testimony that you've heard so far, we have him on RICO just with 2 counts of distributing DRUGs of personal use. And they emphasized, they spent an hour on that. Like I said, movie studios, production studios, record labels, if that constitutes racketeering, then also if you put Diddy in jail, go after all the other racketeers because there's hundreds of them, okay? I just feel like the laws are written up, or the laws of RICO are written up where it could bend to almost anything, right? So anyways, that's just my opinion on the DRUG distribution. Let's go to the other ones. And so by the way, that's what the defense team is gonna say, okay? That's what the defense team is gonna say about the DRUG distribution. They're gonna say, yes, it was his personal use. Yes, we never denied that. We're even gonna say the fact that he probably has that he's an addict, but because he is. Jane has told us that. Brendan Paul has told us that. Just like that he's never denied that he put hands on Cassie. His lawyers are going to say, this is not a DV case. This is not a narcotics case. We're talking about RICO, and they're going to say that that should not fall under the guidelines of RICO because it's a small personal use and they're overcharging him. That's what they're going to say about the DRUG, okay? So let's get back to, hold on, I put a note here so I wouldn't have to be flipping around with you guys. 1 second. Okay, so the list of the predicate acts are DRUG distribution, we talked about that. We're gonna talk about the K word, taking somebody, arson, bribery. We'll do the SCF trafficking quickly, and also forced labor and witness tampering. I'm gonna tell you what I think Diddy's defense team is gonna say today, okay? So we talked about the DRUG distribution. Let's talk about the K word, taking somebody. They said to the jury yesterday that there was 3 counts. Diddy held somebody back against their will 3 times. 1 time, Cassie in the London Hotel, 2009. Again, they don't have any direct evidence with that, and they said that Cassie was drinking. She punched Diddy in the face, and Diddy put hands on her, and he wanted her to stay in a hotel to hide her bruising. Now, Diddy is a horrible person for that. Diddy is a horrible person for putting hands on her in that CNN tape. He definitely should face time for that. He's not the best guy in the world. However, this is not a DV case. This is RICO, and this is a predicate act of keeping somebody. And now it's up to you guys to believe that a guy and his girlfriend get into a dispute. They're both putting hands on each other, and he's like, yo, you're a public figure, I'm a public figure, stay in this hotel. This is what the defense team, this is not what Trent, I'm saying this is what the defense team is gonna say. Hey, this is a girlfriend and a boyfriend that had a very toxic relationship. They put hands on each other, and he's like, yo, I'm a famous dude out here. You just put out an album, or you're good. I don't remember in 2009 if her album was out or not, but it's like, yo, this is not the look that you want. Trust me, just stay in this hotel. I'll give you room service or whatever. Don't come out. You have to decide, and the jury will have to decide, is that grounds for the K word? That's 1. 2, they said another time was Capricorn Clark when he wanted to give her, when he gave her a lie detector test. Once again, horrible that he is accusing somebody on his staff of stealing, I think it was jewelry or some jewelry went missing, and he didn't believe that Capricorn Clark was the one who did it, and he wanted to give her a lie detector test. Horrible for taking her into this abandoned building. I don't know if it was D-Rock or I think it was Uncle Polly, giving her his polygraph. horrible, but is that the K word? It's Diddy's word against hers. She is saying that she didn't want to go, and it was she felt afraid for her life or whatever. Diddy is going to try to say, hey, or his lawyers are going to try to say, hey, not another good thing, not great thing that he did. However, he was not holding her. She wanted to keep her job, and she was willing to take this lie detector test. That's what they're going to say today. And again, it's up to the jury what they are going to believe. The last one is Capricorn Clark again, saying the time when Diddy showed up at her house saying, yo, I heard Cassie is with Kid Cudi. Yo, let's go over there. And apparently he had a GUN. Again, no direct evidence. This is Capricorn Clark's version of the story. Diddy's defense team is going to say, listen, this was his chief of staff. He heard his girlfriend was with another guy, with another rapper. He's a hothead. They have a very toxic relationship. He went to his chief of staff and she was like, yo, I don't want to be involved. And he's like, yo, come on, just come with me, please. We don't know. Did he say please? Did he take her? It's going to be up to Diddy's defense team. That's why I said there's a small window. If you could just convince one jury that that wasn't a K word, that was Diddy going to Capricorn saying, yo, come with me, let's go. It will be up to you or the jury to decide, okay? That is the K word. The next one is arson. How they're gonna break that down is, once again, no direct evidence. Do you have any proof? Kid Cudi, Cassie, a love triangle, a jealous boyfriend. Was he upset? Yes. Do you guys have proof? Kid Cudi literally said when he was at the when he was on the stand that after everything blew over, they didn't become friends, but they were at a restaurant and it was like, all right, all that's in our past, put that all behind us. And Kid Cudi said, yo, what about my car? And Diddy was like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. It had nothing to do with that. The prosecution yesterday was like, look, we want the jury to put two and two together. The words were, Diddy doesn't even buy his own soup. Of course he wasn't the one that cut a hole in the roof of his car and put that cocktail in there. Of course it wasn't him, but we want you to look at the fact that he broke into his house. He was upset. I think he did something with gifts to try to see if he was giving Cassie any gifts. There was the car that was out there with the license plate. We want you to believe, again, it's all about believing. We want you to believe that he broke one of these predicate acts, and that is arson. It's up to you to believe that. The next one is bribery. And again, I told you guys this yesterday, what the defense team is going to say is bribery technically is, and you can Google this, bribery is a person paying somebody not to try to interfere with a police investigation. So if somebody is going to be a witness in a police investigation, that will be bribery. If I give them $100 and say, don't testify or don't say this, that's bribery. Diddy's defense team is going to say he didn't give him the money to interrupt an investigation because the police were not called, the police were never involved. Cassie went on FaceTime and said, listen, do not call the police. All he was doing was buying the tape because he's a public figure and it could ruin his image. Just like when it came out in May, it ruined his image before his image was ruined from the Cassie civil trial, but the people that were on the fence after they saw that CNN tape, it was over. They're gonna try to play the fact of Diddy being a rich, billionaire, successful, that he was literally just paying it off to support his public image. Again, that's up to you. More importantly, up to the jury to decide, and all they have to do is convince one person. The next predicate act is, hold on. All right, is SCX trafficking and women selling themselves. Let's not spend too much time on that because we already know what the defense team is going to say. We've heard it a bunch of times. They were in a relationship. Cassie consented. Jane consented. The prosecution made a super strong point yesterday. I don't know how the Diddy's defense team is going to get over this, and I've said this every day. Another content creator, another YouTube that I sit beside, gave me this analogy, which I cannot get out of my head. If you say, I was working with somebody that was annoying me all day, and for 100 days, I never unalived them, but on the 101 day, I unalived them. I only unalived one person. That one time, but like one time is too many. So to say Cassie was willing, or Jane was willing to do freak-offs for years and years and years, and they decided one day, yo, I don't want to do a freak-off, and he forced, fraud, or courted them, that one time is enough. It's enough. And again, the one little window of opportunity that Diddy's defense team has, and which I think they're going to say today, is yes, jury, the prosecution is right. All you need is one time. However, they have not proven beyond a reasonable doubt that it even happened one time. The example of Cassie that they're using is she was on a plane after Cannes when they got into a fight, and he came and sat beside her on the plane. She didn't even want to sit beside him, and he showed her his phone with videos of them doing a freak off and said, yo, if you don't do a freak off with me tonight, I'm going to expose these videos. You're going to have to believe Cassie. She doesn't have direct evidence of that, but it's her word against his, and not really even against his because he didn't testify. If they could bring a reasonable doubt in the jury's mind, they will not convict, they will not convict them on the SCX trafficking within the RICO and the other SCX trafficking under force, fraud, or coercion. That will be the biggest win. If they can convince that that didn't happen or they don't believe Cassie, that will be a huge win for them. Now with Jane, Jane also says that, hold on, something is happening in the line here. Everyone's moving around. What is going on? Yo, it's getting wild the last 2 days here, y'all, because it's closing arguments and everybody wants to be here. Okay, everything's fine. Everybody has their cameras out. That's how I know something's going on. Okay. By the way, this is my second cup of coffee, so I might be like extra wired today. And so, because I know it's gonna be a big day, so, and I don't even drink coffee. What up? It's Friday! Yo, thanks for the super chat. Somebody just put here. Judge Wood, thank you for the super chat. You can't equate SCX with unaliving somebody. I'm using the example of saying one time, and when you hear unaliving, if you heard, oh, I only unalived somebody one time, see how bad it sounds? So you can't say like, oh, yo, you know, they had SCX, they had freak offs like all the time. Yeah, one time he just maybe coerced her a little bit. No, coerced her a little bit. No, there's no one time you coerced her. There's no one time you forced her. If she didn't want to, and you forced her or you coerced her, that is SCX trafficking, done. And yes, it's not the same thing as unaliving somebody, but when you hear somebody say, I only unalived somebody one time, you know, I could have done it 100 times, I could have done it 200 times, but I only did it one time. It sounds bad. Anyways, let's not get into that again. So with Jane, let me tell you the one time that they say it happened with Jane. I think it was maybe 2 times they said, but one time for sure was, they said with Jane that, remember the night, I think it was June the 8th, 2002 or 2003, the night that they were at her house, she admitted to putting hands on him. Remember, it was something about him being on a podcast, talking about something. He bent down and tied his shoelace. She hit his head on the counter. They got into, they're putting hands on each other. Remember, he kicked 3 doors down. She ran away from the house. She came back 2 hours later. He was there. They ended up making up. She was in the shower, and he put hands on her in the shower, and he was like, yo, let's just call somebody over. They called somebody over. She didn't want to. He gave her some DRUGs, and he said, get out there, get back out there, and you're not going to ruin my night. That is the day she said that she didn't want to. He put hands on her. She admitted that she put hands on him first, just like Cassie said in Cannes, but that doesn't give you a right. Just because she put hands on you doesn't give you a right for you to put hands on her, and it doesn't give you a right to give her some DRUGs and say, yo, go back out there, or not go back out there because they're starting, but go out there. And she even testified to putting makeup on, to covering up. She took a shower, cleaned up all the blood, put on some makeup, and he was like, take this pill, go back out there, you're not gonna ruin my night. She said that was the night that she was coerced. I don't care if it was 10 years of having freak offs. If that night is true, I wish she had direct evidence, but if that night is true, you have to find him guilty of SCX trafficking under the RICO and for the count that's under Jane. Again, the prosecution made a strong point that it only has to happen one time, people. It doesn't have to have happened all the time, okay? So anyways, that is what the defense will have the hardest time proving. But like I said, the advantage they have is they only have to convince one jury and they don't even have to convince them. They just have to give them a reasonable doubt. Maybe I don't believe Jane. Maybe I don't believe Cassie on that airplane. I may have a little bit of doubt. One person, it's easier when it's just one person, and it's easier when it's just doubt. The last two predicate acts before I move on, and again, just want to make sure, these are not my arguments. These are the arguments that I think the prosecution is going to give to the jury today to create doubt in their mind. The last two predicate acts are forced labor. Under forced labor, the prosecution says that Jane and Cassie were under forced labor, and them performing SEX was forced labor, which I feel is really much of a stretch, me personally, and I think this is the easiest thing to convince the jury. They are saying that their nights, their freak-off nights, were long hours. They testified that Cassie had UTIs, she was overworked, the nights that she didn't want to, she was subject to a bunch of things that they feel was forced labor. Look, again, it's up to the jury of what they're going to believe. I think other than the nights that they were coerced, and if there's a night where Cassie wants to do it, and the prosecution said, hey, we believe there was nights that she wanted to do it. If you believe there was nights that she wanted to do it, how could you say that that is forced labor if she wants to do that with her boyfriend for 48 hours? You know, I just feel like they didn't need to put Cassie and Jane, and this I put in the same, like the DRUG distribution. I feel like it's a lot. I feel like they have enough, and I just don't like how they're spreading themselves thin. But hey, they're the prosecution. They know more than me. They also are saying that Mia was his chief of staff, and Mia worked 5 days without sleep, long hours. She also was subject to SEX services where he was harassing her, and when no girlfriends were around, he would come and try to do things with her. That, I think, is horrible in itself. I think that should be an SA charge or an R wording charge. I don't know why they would put that under forced labor. And like I said, my years of modeling, a little bit of acting, and being in the music industry for 10 years, that's the music industry. Again, if that is forced labor, I'm not saying it's not, then you got to go after everybody, because the music industry is late nights in the studios, late nights in the clubs, late nights doing this. And Brendan Paul testified to that. He was like, yo, I was ready for that. I loved working on the Love album. Diddy was right there with us before the launch, working 3 nights, staying up, we all seen Making the Band and all of that stuff or whatever. Like, you know, if somebody is willing to do that. Now, the thing that I don't like, he said that they said that Mia wasn't paid overtime and she was owed $80,000 in overtime. I feel like if you have an employee and they're putting in the time, they should definitely get paid. So anyways, that is forced labor, and that is what they're going to argue. And then the last predicate act is witness tampering. They said that he called Jane and he was recording her, and also Mia. There was text messages with her and D-Rock. I feel it's going to be pretty easy for the defense team to beat the wiretapping, okay? So that is what I think the defense strategy is going to be today, and what they are going to say, okay? Let me get back to my notes here. So let's look at the list of charges and see what the difference is between direct evidence and testimony, a preview. I think I already did that. So I told you what is direct evidence and what is testimony. Basically, every charge basically is testimony and text messages to back it up. Like I said, there's lack of wiretapping and lack of video. I would have liked the federal government, who is one of the biggest, well, the biggest government in the world. I would have liked for them to maybe try to put in an undercover agent, slip somebody into Diddy's team, maybe have like a camera or get some wiretaps and get a little bit more direct evidence. Again, this is the Southern District of New York. This is the US government. They have undercover people. They have great detectives. We have seen them bring down bigger people, bigger criminals with wiretaps, undercover agents. They could have taken another 6 months and tried to get a secret agent in there and get some wiretaps and videos. This would have been so much easier, and it wouldn't be able to even be a trial, okay? So that is the difference between direct evidence and testimony. Now, let me tell you about the wild card. I'm very excited to get to this. I was hard on the prosecution yesterday. I thought they had an opportunity to show us some personality, to show us in their closing arguments why the jury should convict Diddy and send him to jail. They started out very strong, saying he's a billionaire, he's this, he's influence, it's time to put him away. Like, it started out like a movie. You know when you see like a movie and there's like voiceover and there's like that guy that voiceovers everything and like, you're about to witness the downfall of the diddler. He does this and he does this. He does not take no for an answer. We're gonna show you his criminal organization. I was like, uh-oh, Diddy's going down. And then they just got very technical, very melodical, and it was super, super boring. And like I said, a lot of the predicate acts, I think they spread themselves too thin and they should have shortened it up. Having said that, and having admitted that technically sound, just the presentation was horrible. Not horrible, but I thought could be better. Here is what I think is their strategy. They gave us a very technical, methodical, long, I told you the jury was asleep. Some people in the juries were sleeping, some people in the gallery were sleeping. However, they got their points out. Today's opportunity will be for the defense to give their case. However, after whoever gives the defense closing arguments, which we think will be Mark Agnifilo, the prosecution has a chance for redirect or rebuttal. They will have the last say. Their wild card, and if anybody's watching from the prosecution, take my word on this. Maureen Comey needs to do the rebuttal, the redirect, after Mark Agnifilo gives his closing arguments. If Maureen Comey does the rebuttal, it's almost over for Diddy. She is amazing. She is the perfect example of technical while having feeling and emotion. I talked to you guys about this yesterday. The people who are sitting in the jury are people. They're people like you, they're people like me, they're people that have feelings, they're people who are emotion. You cannot talk to them like how Christy Slovakia spoke with them yesterday, where for 5.5 hours, you need to convict him. He did this, he did bribery, he did arson. It's going over some of their heads. They are the government. This is a mix of men, women, they're black, they're white, they're minorities, there's Indian, there's all walks of life. You need to be able to be personable. You need to be able to have charisma. You need to be able to have conviction. You need to be able to read the room. One of the things that my father always said to me when I was growing up, and he said, one of the key things in life is the gift of gab, and he would hold his tongue. You have to have the gift of gab. Christy, I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, I think Christy Slovakia, who gave the closing arguments for the prosecution, she does not have that gift. Maureen Comey, every time she has gotten up on that stand and there was a witness and she redirects, she brings everything back together. I'll give you an example. There's a witness, for example, like Brendan Paul. The prosecution does their direct, right? So their testimony. Brendan Paul, did you do this? Da, 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 da. Then Diddy's defense team goes on cross-examination. They said, okay, Brendan, you testified to this, you testified to that. Okay, cool. But this, and you're like, wow, they poked a lot of holes in there, and you're like, oh, maybe it's not so much of a strong witness. Maureen Comey gets up and was like, Brendan, did you do this? Did you do this? Is Diddy this? Is Diddy that? And you're like, wow, like she does not waste any time. She's direct to the point or whatever. That is the prosecution's wild card. And I said yesterday, I don't know why Maureen Comey did not give the first initial closing arguments. And I thought about it last night, and I've come up with the idea and with the plan. By the way, Mark Agnifilo is walking through the crowd right now. He does this every day to get the people in the crowd on Diddy's side. I'm not waving to him, by the way. I'm waving to one of my friends that are in line. What up? Everybody just came from the line out to see Mark. Anyways, all of Diddy's lawyers, by the way, every day they walk through. Anyways, Maureen Comey, guys, if she does the redirect and rebuttal, whoo, I'm excited. I'm excited today, yo. That's why I had 2 cups of coffee. Mark is amazing. And so will Maureen Comey. Okay, here is the rumors that I heard that you guys will be excited about. Rumors are swirling around that after the Diddy case wraps up, the feds will set their sights on a new A-list celebrity that they found out about during the Diddy raids and the evidence that they seized. You have heard these names before, allegedly, and what I've heard yesterday from an inside source, hold on, just getting something. Both sides have used multiple lawyers. Okay, somebody just sent me a little tip. I have heard that as soon as this trial wraps up, depending on the outcome, during the raids of Diddy's LA homes, Miami, and New York, they did find evidence of other celebrities and other A-list celebrities, and the feds are presently investigating some other celebs. And just like we're wondering about KK, what's going on with her, what's going on with Diddy's co-conspirators, everybody has been wondering, yo, why haven't we heard about any other celebrities? I have heard, just like KK and other things, the prosecution is taking things one step at a time, very slowly, just like they're closing arguments yesterday. It's the government. They're very methodical and they're taking their time. Now, read the tea leaves, put 2 and 2 together. Why are they not telling us now, or why are they not pressing charges now? If Diddy gets found guilty, do you not think that Diddy might want to work with them and might want to give them some information that he hasn't given now? Because people are like, oh, Diddy's going to talk, he's going to give people up. Diddy ain't talking until he gets found guilty. If he gets found guilty on all the charges and he's faced life, I'm not saying that he's going to talk, but I'm just saying that would give him more reason to be like, all right, y'all, yo, you got me on 40 years. All right, yo, let's have a conversation. So this is chess, not checkers. Depending on the outcome, we shall see what is going to happen with some other celebrities, okay? Allegedly. Because they'd be watching my show like a hawk, right? So just want to be careful. What else do I have here? Everyone has been asking about the other names, A-list celebrities. Well, there, now you have it. Also, don't forget about this. I told you about this yesterday, but just to add to it, don't forget about the rumors that I told you guys about yesterday, that if Diddy beats this case, there might be some state attorneys that will be looking to charge Diddy with the Jane crimes because they haven't passed the statute of limitation. We just talked about this quickly. All right, now they're bringing the line a little bit closer in. All right, okay, I got 5 more minutes, guys. So again, the feds work with state attorneys as well too. Don't get it twisted. They're all friends. They're all homies. So they have a backup plan. Hey, let's say he beats these charges. Cool. You heard Jane. You heard her testimony. He was in her house. He broke down 6 doors. He put hands on her. Cassie's CNN tape is past the statute of limitation, but Jane in California, she said that happened in 2023 or 2022. That's 3 years ago. It's not past the statute of limitation. So told you guys this yesterday, just reminding you, it's not over for Diddy. He has this to beat, potential some state charges, and also we know the bunch of civil cases that Diddy has to face as well too. All right, in closing, I'm just gonna sum it up of everything that I said today. Listen to this, okay? This is my closing arguments of what I think could happen today and what the chances are. Diddy has a chance today. His defense team has a chance in their closing arguments, a slim chance, but a chance nonetheless, in my personal opinion. They do not have much direct evidence against him. It's mostly testimony. If his team can get the jury not to believe the testimony, I think he has a small chance of beating this case. That is my summary of everything I just said in the past 40 minutes. There is a window open, ladies and gentlemen, and Diddy's high-priced attorneys that he's spending $3 or $4 million a month on, they have an opportunity today. They have an opportunity to convince the jury not to believe Jane and not to believe Cassie and to not believe that he broke 8 predicate acts underneath the RICO charge. That is it. This is my morning. I'll go very, very quickly. Trent, please don't say that. Lord, I hope you are wrong. It's not wrong or right. I didn't say that he's going to get off. I just said there's a chance. There's a chance. Closing arguments is a chance. That's all I am saying. The prosecutors took out the iffy evidence to make sure he's guilty. No, they didn't. All they took out was the attempted K word and attempted arson and they only took out the attempted. The K word, taking somebody, is still there. Arson is still there, and bribery is still there. They just took out attempted. Small being the operative word. Small seems to be the word following this monster. I think you're making a joke about a Tootsie Roll. Yes, small. Does he have a big chance? Not at all. They have a mountain of testimony against him. There's a lot against him, but there is a chance. If there was no chance, they would never have gone to trial. Somebody says, how much Diddy paying you? Be quiet, yo. I think he has a huge chance to beat the case. I don't agree with that, but I respect your opinion. I don't think it's a huge chance at all. The prosecution made an excellent, excellent case yesterday, even though it was boring and methodical. Consent means no. Woke means sleep, okay? Barbados in the house. They don't have it. Hey, Trent, does the alternative jury have an opinion about the decision? No, the alternative jury, they have no say. They're in the room and all of that stuff, but they have no say until another jury gets dismissed. Unless another juror gets dismissed. Somebody could get sick over the weekend. Anything could happen. They could get caught, talking to somebody. They could get whatever. So they're there if somebody gets sick or whatever. I'm not too sure. Once the deliberation starts, I don't think. Can a jury get dismissed after deliberations? I'll ask somebody today and I'll check back with you guys. Okay, I'm gonna take 2 more minutes. Somebody says it's your opinion, 100%. Testimony equals evidence, 100%. Testimony equals evidence, but a jury doesn't have to believe it. It's up to a jury that they have to decide what they believe. It does equal evidence, but the jury does not have to believe it. Again, this is not AI, these are people. Somebody says you're not making sense. All right, no problem. Yes, how he treated Cassie was despicable. They should have charged him for DV, 100%. Tez says, well done. Thank you, Tez. Chrissy says, there's no chance against Puff. Somebody says, we out here, no chance at all. He is gone. Wishing prison for life. It's wicked. Free Diddy. Somebody says, praying for Diddy's release. Hey, I got a super chat. Jesse Evans says, love what you're doing. Appreciate your commitment. Thank you very much. Dream team in the house. Pray for the kids. Cassie, Jane, blah, blah, blah. This is this. Speculation. Good morning. Pray he goes down. I love my chat. I love when I get here and it's, some people are free Diddy. Some people are against. By the way, anybody who's new here, that is what my lives, that's what my podcast is all about, is me giving you what the facts are, giving you my opinion on how I see things. I always try to see things from both sides. I'm an independent, whether it be political or not. I see things from both sides, and we talk about it, right? So come on back, because this is what it's all about. I got another super chat. Tasha C. Coffee on us. Tasha and DJ Out Louders from Gastineau, North Carolina. Come on and raise up. Thank you. I'm going to need another coffee. Thank you very, very much. All right. Oh, another super chat. Another super chat from Lashanda. Thank you very much. Says, thank you. Love your work. Thank you. It's Friday. I'm very excited today. All right. Another super chat. Frank, thank you very much, Frank, for the super chat. All right, yeah, I'm getting off. They're gonna bring in the line any minute now. I will see you guys later. I'll try to come out at lunch. I'm not too sure if I can come out at lunch. Last time I wasn't able to come out, but if not, I'll definitely see you at the end of the day. Probably won't get out for lunch, but I will try my best, all right, guys? One more super chat. Anti-Trenty, thank you very much. Trent, being objective is truly irritating people. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Peace.